Welcome. Welcome to our sanctuary. We're glad you're here. I hope you'll come and visit us. We'd love to meet you. Welcome to today.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. We stand for love. We welcome everybody, and we're so happy to see you here at our church today.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs, located in the heart of the walkable Tarpon Springs Historic District and known as the home of the Innes paintings. We are a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. I'm Reverend Kristina Spaude, minister here of UUCTS. I'm glad you are here. I hope that you find meaning in today's service. Please consider joining us on a Sunday morning when we gather to worship as a community every week beginning at 10:30 a.m. on Zoom, or drop in for a more personal visit to one of our coffee hours starting at 11:30 on Sundays on Zoom. Please refer to our website for information about how to connect with us on Zoom. Our service associate will now begin today's service. Let us enter this sacred time with open minds and open hearts.
Morning. Welcome to this liberal religious congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. My name is Jean Nelson. Our beginning words today are from Erica Hewitt. Some of us bring our best selves to this space, and some of us bring our struggling selves, including pieces we might be ashamed of. All of us are welcomed here, and all of us are loved. Some of us already have open hearts, and some of us aren't quite there yet because our hearts have gotten a little beat up this week and might have forgotten how to trust and open. Your heart is welcome here, no matter how bruised. We welcome you among us. All of us are imperfect, but we're here to drop our defenses and trust that what happens in worship is powerful and life-giving. Together, we affirm that this day and our being together can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser than when we woke up this morning. We welcome you here, no matter how bruised. We welcome you among us. Reverend Kristina brings us this service. Bonnie Whitehurst is our wonderful music director, and we thank all who helped bring this virtual service to us. May we begin today's chalice lighting with the words from Sean Trapp. Our chalice reminds us that the fire within ourselves is the same fire that illuminates the universe. It is our reminder that all is connected, even though the space of the void is vast, and our experience here is but a blip on the cosmetic timeline. This flame is our promise that in our smallness and short time on this earth, that we live intently and deeply with love for one another, with honesty and integrity, to be guided by rational thought and critical thinking, and with a sense of shared responsibility. For as the late astronomer Carl Sagan reminded us, this pale blue dot is the only home we have ever known.
Our story for today is called The Empty Pot by Jami. A long time ago in China, there was a boy named Ping who loved flowers. Anything he planted burst into bloom. Up came flowers, bushes, and even big fruit trees, as if by magic. Everyone in the kingdom loved flowers too. They planted them everywhere, and the air smelled like perfume. The emperor loved birds and animals, but flowers most of all, and he tended his own garden every day. But the emperor was very old. He needed to choose a successor to the throne. Who would his successor be? And how would the emperor choose? Because the emperor loved flowers so much, he decided to let the flowers decide. The next day, a proclamation was issued. All the children in the land were to come to the palace. There they would be given special flower seeds by the emperor. Whoever can show me their best in a year's time, he said, will succeed me to the throne. This news created great excitement throughout the land. Children from all over the country swarmed to the palace to get their flower seeds. All the parents wanted their children to be chosen emperor, and all the children hoped they would be chosen too. When Ping received his seed from the emperor, he was the happiest child of all. He was sure he could grow the most beautiful flower. Ping filled a flower pot with rich soil. He planted the seed in it very carefully. He watered it every day. He couldn't wait to see it sprout, grow, and blossom into a beautiful flower. Day after day passed, but nothing grew in his pot. Ping was very worried. He put new soil into a bigger pot. Then he transferred the seed into the rich black soil. Another 2 months he waited. Still nothing happened. By and by, the whole year passed. Spring came, and all the children put on their best clothes to greet the emperor. They rushed to the palace with their beautiful flowers, eagerly hoping to be chosen. Ping was ashamed of his empty pot. He thought the other children would laugh at him because for once he couldn't get a flower to grow. His clever friend ran by holding a great big plant. Ping, he said, you're not really going to the emperor with an empty pot, are you? Couldn't you grow a great big flower like mine? I've grown lots of flowers better than yours, Ping said. It's just that this seed wouldn't grow. Ping's father overheard this and said, "You did your best, and your best is good enough to present to the emperor." Holding the empty pot in his hands, Ping went straight away to the palace. The emperor was looking at the flowers slowly, one by one. How beautiful all of the flowers were. But the emperor was frowning and did not say one word. Finally, he came to Ping. Ping hung his head in shame, expecting to be punished. The emperor asked him, "Why did you bring an empty pot?" Ping started to cry and replied, "I planted the seed you gave me and I watered it every day, but it didn't sprout. I put it in a better pot with better soil, but still it didn't sprout. I tended it all year long, but nothing grew. So today I had to bring an empty pot without a flower. It was the best I could do." When the emperor heard these words, a smile slowly spread over his face, and he put his arm around Ping. Then he exclaimed to one and all, "I have found him. I have found the one person worthy of being emperor. Where you got your seeds from, I do not know, for the seeds I gave you had all been cooked, so it was impossible for any of them to grow. I admire Ping's great courage to appear before me with the empty truth, and now I reward him with my entire kingdom and make him emperor of all the land." Our reading today comes from Clarissa Pinkola Estes. My friends, do not lose heart. We were made for these times. I have heard from so many recently who are deeply and properly bewildered. They are concerned about the state of affairs in our world now. Ours is a time of almost daily astonishment and often righteous rage over the latest degradations of what matters most to civilized, visionary people. You are right in your assessments. The luster and hubris some have aspired to while endorsing acts so heinous against children, elders, everyday people, the poor, the unguarded, the helpless, is breathtaking. Yet I urge you, ask you, gentle you, to please not spend your spirit dry by bewailing these difficult times. Especially, do not lose hope. Most particularly because the fact is that we were made for these times. Yes, for years, we have been learning, practicing, been in training for, and just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. I grew up on the Great Lakes and recognize a seaworthy vessel when I see one. Regarding awakened souls, there have never been more able vessels in the waters than there are right now across the world. And they are fully provisioned and able to signal one another as never before in the history of humankind. Look out over your prow. There are millions of boats of righteous souls on the waters with you. Even though your veneers may shiver from every wave in this stormy royal, I assure you that the long timbers composing your prow and rudder come from a great forest. That long-grained lumber is known to withstand storms, to hold together, to hold its own, and to advance regardless. In any dark time, there is a tendency to veer toward fainting over how much is wrong or unmended in the world. Do not focus on that. There's a tendency, too, to fall into being weakened by dwelling on what is outside your reach, by what cannot yet be. Do not focus there. That is spending the wind without raising the sails. We are needed. That is all we can know. And although we meet resistance, we more so will meet great souls who will hail us, love us, and guide us, and we will know them when they appear. Didn't you say you were a believer? Didn't you say you pledged to listen to a voice greater? Didn't you ask for grace? Don't you remember that to be in grace means to submit to the voice greater? Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that is within our reach. Any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another, to assist some portion of this poor, suffering world, will help immensely. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more, continuing. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small, determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do is to intervene in a stormy world, is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times. The light of the soul throws sparks, can send up flares, builds signal fires, causes proper matter to catch fire. To display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others, Both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. If you would help to calm the tumult, this is one of the strongest things you can do. There will always be times when you feel discouraged. I, too, have felt despair many times in my life, but I do not keep a chair for it. I will not entertain it. It is not allowed to eat from my plate. The reason is this. In my uttermost bones, I know something, as do you. It is that there can be no despair when you remember why you came to earth, who you serve, and who sent you here. The good words we say and the good deeds we do are not ours. They are the words and deeds of the one who brought us here. In that spirit, I hope you will write this on your wall. When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe. There can be no doubt. But that is not what great ships are built for.
It's time for the offering for the work and the welfare of this church. Please go to our website, uutarpon.org, and click on the Donate button. Or please send your checks to 57 Reed Street. The entire address is right there on your screen. And thank you.
You got the power to make this mean old world a better place. You got the power to make this mean old world a better place. People say they hate you, try to kill you when they're grinning in your face. But you got the power to make this mean old world a better place. God put the firewood there, but you gotta light yourself. God put the firewood there, but you gotta light yourself. But you gotta go it alone, you gotta gather it up, ain't nobody gonna help. God put the firewood there, but you gotta light yourself. Everything's gonna change now, everything but the truth. Everything's gonna change now, everything but the truth. He's not playing games, he's not taking names, he is bulletproof. Everything's gonna change now, everything but the truth.
Have you ever been in a situation where you weren't sure what to do? It happens to me every week. Or do you ever feel pretty confident that you knew what the right thing was to do, but it scared you big time? Sometimes the stakes are really high, or if you're like me, you're wondering what the consequences of this action might be in the future. Should I have said that? Or maybe in some ways worse, what if you know what the right thing is to do, but you're not the one who has the power to do it? Then what? There's a really fun, but also not altogether best known holiday coming up in the Jewish calendar, Purim. A wild holiday of reveling with costumes and celebrants commanded to drink until they're drunk. And yet these questions about what to do are some of the very ones that are raised in the story of how the holiday came to be. There's a book tucked in the Tanakh, the Jewish scriptures, called the Book of Esther. It's an unusual book. It doesn't mention God once, doesn't talk about Jewish laws or covenant at all, contains no prayers. It's one of only 2 books that takes its name from the leading female character. And the scholars don't dwell on this, but it has a pretty easy, neatly finished, happy ending. It's short and tells one story fairly quickly. The book emphasizes human action and is surprisingly thin on commentary. It appears to have been written by a Jew in the diaspora and written specifically for other Jews in the diaspora. And it's kind of biblical fanfic, or a novella, or even a courtier tale. It has no pretenses of historical accuracy and focuses instead on character development and storytelling. Scholars believe that one of the book's purposes is to help Jews who are in the diaspora navigate the particular challenges for Jews living in non-Jewish places where they were often marginalized and oppressed. This book illustrates understanding power, interrelational dynamics, and liberation. The story is unusual, and at times the narrative is sparse in explanation. So the book begins with a king who is drunk at a party, and he calls to his wife and tells her, or invites her, hard to say when it's a king doing the requesting, to display her beauty before the court, and she declines. It is unclear what was meant by her beauty, but there are some that believe that she was asked to stand naked before the court, and she refused. In response, the king banishes her from the kingdom and even decreed that women must, from that time forward, obey their husbands. After a while, the king realizes that he's lonely and maybe firing his wife was a horrible idea. So then, depending on the translation, the king decides to gather all of the virgins in the kingdom to evaluate their prospections as new queens. Some translations refer to him having a beauty pageant, some a harem. There's no judgment in the text about this, but regardless, I do want to name that this is basically a form of sex trafficking. One of the women that is brought into this competition of sorts is Esther. She is a Jewish female orphan, and this combination of identities makes her among those with the least amount of power in Persian society. Her guardian, uncle, cousin, person is a man named Mordecai. He's part of the king's court, and as her guardian, is concerned about her, especially when she's been brought into this situation. He tells her that she must not tell anyone that she is Jewish, and she follows his advice. Given her options, Esther seems intent on making the most of this whole thing. When Esther has her chance with the king, she wins him over with both her beauty and character, and he decides to make her his queen. There's no explanation for this, as with many things in the story, but Esther is really sharp and quickly learns about the dynamics of court life. When Mordecai learns of a plot to kill the king, he tells Esther, who tells the king, and further solidifies their favor with the king. A little later, the king needs a new advisor, and he appoints this man named Haman. He seems to be kind of full of himself and decrees at one point in time that everyone must kneel before him. For unknown reasons, Mordecai refuses, and in retaliation, Haman decides not only to kill Mordecai, but all of the Jews in the kingdom. For unknown reasons, the king agrees to this. Mordecai finds out about this and knows that this is his fault, but no one knows that Esther, the queen, is Jewish. Mordecai tells her that she must tell the king and convince him not to kill the Jews. Esther is afraid, like to her core afraid. She's among the most marginalized of people and from the most oppressed situations. She still has a guardian, for crying out loud. She doesn't know what to do. She's young, she's been taken from her people, and while she's been doing this super great job of working the system so far, is she up to this? She doesn't know. And worse, the king made up this rule at some point that no one can come before him without his invitation or they will be executed. And she hasn't been asked to be before him in a month. How much power does she even really have? She doesn't have any idea what to do. She's in this impossible situation, the risk of death either way. And what if she tries and fails? The stakes are really high. What would you do? Mordecai tells Esther, "Do not think that in the king's palace you will escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you keep silence at such a time as this, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another quarter, but you and your father's family will perish. Who knows? Perhaps you have come to royal dignity for just such a time as this." Esther takes these words and decides that she must reflect on what to do, knowing still that she must act soon. She develops a plan. She invites the king and Haman to a feast. The king offers to grant any request she has, up to half of his kingdom. They come to dinner, and she strokes their egos, getting them feeling good, and puts her in good graces with both men. The following night, Esther has another dinner party, this time a banquet with the whole court. When the time comes, she asks for her life and those of her people to be granted. That is her request. And a little later, Esther secures the fate of the Jews by seeing to it that Haman is executed. The king grants her wishes. And to celebrate this victory, a celebration is held that becomes the festival of Purim. Jews are commanded to get so drunk that they cannot distinguish between the good of Mordecai and the evil of Haman, as a reminder that good and evil live everywhere, and we don't know how they will manifest. The costumes represent the second dinner party Esther hosts. Men are encouraged to dress like women too, in recognition of and celebrating Esther's wisdom, strength, and power, and her rise from oppression that saved her people. In December, we reflected together on this theme of stillness, and I noticed that stillness played a role in Esther's discernment about how to save the Jews. Despite the intense pressure she was surely feeling, she stopped and thought about what to do. She actually spent 3 days in fasting and prayer around this, or at least contemplation, if not prayer. She made space and time to consider what options and opportunities she had that would achieve the best possible outcome for her and her people. When things get hard, whether the stakes are low or high, and you find yourself wondering what to do, how do you decide? The ways we act is the way we measure a person's integrity. When the stakes are low or high, it matters what we do and how we do it. Do you take your empty pot to the emperor? Do you tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable? Do you struggle and find yourself discouraged at times, but also breathe and reconnect with that which is greater than we are and move forward? How do we know what to do? Tying together the last few months of themes and the next one, making use of the tools we have, cultivating and practicing stillness, awareness of being on a threshold and the possibilities they present, grounding in our integrity and having the courage to follow through are all ways that we participate in making decisions. One of the particular blessings of Unitarian Universalism is that when we practice the core of our faith well, being in covenant, opportunities to practice cultivating and acting with integrity are many, and we get to do it together with the love and grace that covenant offers us. The truth is, unless the stakes are as high as they were for Esther or Ping, there are rarely right answers to what we do or say. Similarly to practicing good ministry, our presence makes a difference alone. And showing up with an open heart and being willing to be opened or moved by others, being vulnerable and real. These are things that take great courage and show integrity. We've all been hurt. But those who have integrity continue to do it anyway, for themselves. And being able to do so helps the rest of us learn. We are needed. We need each other. We are connected beyond our understanding. Remember always that regardless of the situation, you were made for just such a time as this. All of you. Sometimes it is the very parts that we keep most hidden that are meant to save us after all.
Esther was a girl from far away. She lived a simple life and loved the Lord. The king was looking for a bride to be. He fell in love and called this girl his queen. Her people were the chosen ones of God, living in a distant land as slaves. The king had put God's people in harm's way, but God had chosen Esther to be brave. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, not to harm you, but to prosper and to give you hope and future. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, not to harm you, but to prosper and to give you hope and future. You might be scared, but hold on to the truth. Our God provides, and He will not leave you. And when you feel alone, remember you are His. For you were called for such a time as this. Yes, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, not to harm you, but to prosper and to give you hope and future. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, not to harm you, but to prosper and to give you hope and
Our closing words today come again from Jean Harrison Newyar, who has written In the Gift of Faith. In the lore of ancient China, there is a story of a philosopher who was asked, "Where is the road called hope?" He replied, "It does not exist, but as people move forward upon it, it comes into being." I invite you to continue moving forward on this path, this journey called hope with me.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in
I hope that you found meaning in today's service. Again, I invite you to consider joining us sometime on Sunday morning when we gather for worship as a community. The service starts at 10:30 a.m. on Zoom. You are also welcome to drop into our Zoom room coffee hour any Sunday at 11:30 for friendly conversation. Please refer to our website for more information on how to connect with us on Zoom. If you use the Connect Online button, it will take you directly to any of our activities. We look forward to meeting you.